Good, good afternoon, grade 11. It's a long time since we have been announcing these meetings and trying to meet you, and it has not been possible. I have received several notes that some of you are elsewhere and you cannot join the class. I understand that these are serious times, there are challenges for you, but I just want you to be aware that all these are still going into the map book because there's going to be a grade card for this recording period. And I am documenting all that I do to make sure that I am accountable. I tried as much as possible to reach as many of you as I can, but that's what the reality is right now. On your screen right now are the activities. There are 11 of them so far that I have posted that I expect you to do. There's another sheet that I have sent out to you that has attached to these activities or grade, the note sheet or PowerPoints that you will need. In addition to that, there are a number of resources on Google that you can get to assist you in completing these. Now, some of you have been writing some things that are not very pleasant when you try to use the app to answer the question. I did say in the first place instance that the app was really made for multiple choice questions, and I try to adapt it so I can grade you on these things. Now, I told you that you should go ahead and answer the question, and I will review them before you see the answers. However, some of them may be my own fault that I did not properly set with the settings so you were able to see the answer before um, I review them. Now, so definitely I will go through every single one of them and I will give you the mark that you are due. The multiple choice are self-marked, but the others are not. So I will have to mark those. So I do not see it for the rudeness or whatever. All you have to do, mark, and I will do the marking, and your answers will come to you. Okay. No, so that's what we have there. Those are the things that we are doing for the grade 11. Respiration, the last thing that I sent to you was breathing and the breathing mechanism. Those who were with me the last time, those were the things that I looked at of breathing. Now today, for our class, I want us to look at, we're going to start a new topic and pollution. Okay, so this is what we have here, pollution. Now, pollution is something that we are all familiar with. It changes the environment into which we exist. It makes it very unpleasant. And since COVID, I have seen a number of reports that are saying that as a result of the cars not out there on the road, the air is much cleaner and the rivers are looking better. What a difference 8 weeks can make. So all of us has to take better care of our environment. Now, let's look at a few key concepts. Three terms are used here that I expect you to be aware of. First one here is environmental pollution. And we define that, we use three terms. We say they are physical, chemical, or biological characteristic of any component of the environment, whether it be the air, the soil, the water, which can cause harmful effects on various forms of life or property. Now, pollution, this general definition is very important, and I want you to make sure that you understand this definition thoroughly. It's very, very important. The term pollution can be defined as influence of any substance causing nuisance, harmful effect, or uneasiness to the organism. So, you could come up with your own definition. But this one is very clear. So it's anything that can cause, it's a nuisance, harmful effect, or any change in the environment apart from what is new normal. Now, the pollutants are those that cause the pollution. We call those pollutants. So any substances causing a nuisance or harmful effect or uneasiness to the environment, organism, that particular substance may be called a pollutant. Now, so right away in our environment, we can talk about exhaust fume. And you know some of the other things you see around you. What are some of the other things you see that makes your environment quite unsightly? Garbage, definitely. Your household waste, or if you drive down Cowpen Road at the side, at the back there, you may see some old refrigerators, some old mattresses. All of those things are what we consider as pollutant. If you go to the sea, what may you find in the sea? You go to the sea and you have a picnic. What do you bring? You bring your food. What is it that you leave there? Yes, your drinks can, your plastic container, your forks, and all of these things. And that's why the Bahamas and countries around the world, they have moved to reduce the use of single-use plastic. So we hope that in the long run, we will see some definite effect on those in the environment. Now, type of pollution. Right here, we have 4 types of pollution. One type we have the water pollution. Yes, and then we talk about air pollution. Okay, so we have those different types of pollution there: water, air, land, and noise pollution. So we are pretty much familiar with those around. The one that we may not be much concern us now is that of noise pollution. But all the others, I'm sure that you have some understanding of them here in the Bahamas. Now, water pollution. Okay, here we say it is what? Defined as alteration in the physical, chemical, or biological characteristic of water through natural or human activity and making it unstable for its, or unsuitable, I'm sorry, for its designated use. So if the water was water or potable water for drinking and oil gets into that water we consider it to be polluted water. On the beach, you go for a swim, but I'm sure if you see all kind of plastic and you know, glass bottle on the beach and all kind of things floating around in the water, that would be unsuitable for swimming. So you would not be going into that water. Or a couple of years ago, we talked about in the Gulf when those oil wells were leaking and that tar was running on the ocean floor for miles and miles. That was one of the things that we were fearful of in the Bahamas here, that if these tar get to our beaches, they could cause severe pollution. And since we are tourist nation, we depends on the tourism. If that is not coming, wow, then we would be in real serious problem. So we're happy that that didn't materialize, but we continue to do that, pollute the environment. Some of the other ways in which pollution takes place is like fresh water present on the Earth's surface. Yes, and in the Bahamas, we depend on most of our drinking waters before, we say within the past 10 years, we used to get our water, or maybe more than that, to supply us by wells. But almost no well is used for public water supply in the Bahamas now because they are all, there's intrusion of salt and pollutant in those well water. So the cost of treating them to make them potable would be too expensive. Now they had before that been bringing in water from Andros, but as demand increases, there is not much of, I think that barge stopped and they're doing reverse osmosis now. So our water supply here is based on reverse osmosis. Now, so here we have other things that cause pollution. Agriculture. Agriculture causes pollution in the fact that the chemicals that are used. Thank God so far, we have not seen a great part of that. For example, in places like Jamaica that has rivers and so, they are more threat for, and I will use the word eutrophication, that you will come across later of all of these things that are getting into that water supply. So source of water pollution. I will just point out one of them here, two of them. We talk about agriculture waste, marine pollution, things like oil, yeah, um, fishing debris, things like fishing nets and plastics and all those things are example of those. And then you have what we call thermal pollution, which is heat, hot water getting into the water supply based on factories that use it for cooling purposes like BC or so, if BPL, if they use that to cool and that end up in there, that is itself is called a form of pollution. Okay, now municipal waste, again, that has to do with your, mainly your household garbage, all right? And quite a lot of us, couple years ago, we were just dumping garbage basically, and the landfill site was really one mess. Um, I think maybe 15, 16 years ago, the government got a loan from the IDB, and they, maybe more than that, they make what we call a sanitary landfill. What they did, they excavate the area, and they put a plastic resin, a resin inside there. So they line that area. So all that leche or garbage juice, as you call it, that stinking thing when the truck passing you and you smell it, right? All of that, when you dump the garbage, that collects down there. So instead of going through the underground water supply, that is maintained within that plastic container there. And as they said, didn't get to intrude into the water supply underground. So yes, they have been doing a much better job now. And since last year, I think the government signed a contract with a waste management company, and they are in charge of the waste now. And it's hoped that we will see less fires. For that was really getting out of hand. Less fires and less, it would not smell that bad again. All right, so that's your immune. Industrial waste, we don't really have a big problem with that here in the Bahamas as yet, like things from the textile industry, paper industry, and other discharges like those. Thank heaven, we don't have any of those yet. So we give God thanks. Also, let's go to another one here, industrial waste. Inorganic, remember we talk about, again, they include the fine particles of different material, chloride, sulfate, oxide, acids, and alkalis, like your cell phone battery, Where do you do them? When your cell phone battery is dead, you throw them in the garbage. And these are things that are your dry cell battery. They should not really go into our landfill like that, because things like mercury and all of these other heavy metals, they are very difficult to clean up. So we should try to contain them, have special bins for them, but we have not seen that happening as yet. So those indeed will get into our water supply, and that will cause a lot of problems to clean. Fats and oil, grease from your kitchen, all of those things are called, we will call them organic waste or pollutant. And then you have the agriculture waste, and there we say that these are your pesticides, um, again, your fertilizers. Again, these contribute to, there are two terms that we will come to in subsequent class. I just mentioned them now to you, so you can be aware that of what they are. One is eutrophication. Eutrophication is short, the water just smelling bad, getting green, and the life in the water is dead, okay? So that is just stagnant water, so to speak, for want of a better word, stagnant. And then with other things like pesticides, we have the word biomagnification. That's a big term for you. Biomagnification, all what it means that things get bigger. For just think of it as that. An example is that there are some chemicals that the organism, they cannot get rid of those chemicals. Those chemicals build up in the body. So, so as another organism that the concentration of that chemical gets higher until it reaches to like a tertiary consumer of the line, that they start dying as a result of that high concentration, as a result of the built up of that undegradable, oh, that's such a word. That's material cannot be broken down by the body. So it is maintained in the cells of the body until it reaches dangerous level. Okay, we'll get more to that at another class. This is just a quick move through. So we talk about marine pollution. Again, man-made pollutants, the sewage, garbage, the coastal city, things like, so you have that there, then you have grease, detergent, radioactive waste, all of these things are a threat to us. Like we have cruise ship coming in, sometimes they dump things in international water and they will end up right with us here, okay? So those are some of the things that you have. Thermal pollution. I don't think we have a problem with this. As I said, the main source of thermal pollution are thermal and nuclear power plant, and they generate a lot of heat, and the sudden rise in temperature will kill the fish and other organisms that are there in the sea. Okay, let's have a look now at one that we are all familiar with, air pollution. What do we see there? Yeah, a lot of smoke. I guess apart from BC again, we are blessed here in this side of the part of the world. In China, understand that, and another country in the East, Mid East, fresh air is really a problem for people to get air which is fresh. It's because of the industrialization, a lot of what you're seeing there, all of this, it's being produced there. Smoke, all right? And that's called air pollution. Smell, some of them smell, some of them no smell, but they still have pollutant. So these are things that are introduced into the environment, and they affect the quality of the air we breathe. Cause of air pollution, there are some things that you have. These are what you need to know: carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, sulfur oxides. All of these are chemicals. Many of these are as a result of the burning of fossil fuel and organic matter. And they contribute to quite a few things that we will be dealing with as a result of this, apart from the physical effect of air pollution, people having respiratory problems and asthma and other related things. Air pollution can result in what we call acid rain. And so that is one thing that we will deal with. Air pollution, it can also ozone depletion, ozone depletion. There's another part that you need to think of, and global warming. So when we talk about air pollution, those are three concepts that we will be adding some more flesh to as we go through the class: acid rain, ozone depletion, and global warming. Okay. So those are things that you need to keep in mind as what the consequence of them are. Then we also have land pollution that we talk about, is the demolition of the Earth's land surface, often caused by human activity. Again, you see that most of the pollution that we have are really things that are caused by us. Yes, we are the ones who are causing majority of these problems. So what are the four main causes? Construction, yes. Construction, and you have debris. Agriculture, again, land pollution, yes. Domestic waste, again, we see that, and industrial waste. So we see a doubling up of some of these things here, causing, as we mentioned earlier, land pollution. And we'll deal with some of those, and we can see the construction of the agriculture, domestic waste. And the last one we'll mention is noise pollution. It's the excessive displeasing human, animal, or machine-created environment. Noise that disrupt the activity or the balance of human or animal life. Noise pollution is a major threat to human health, because one of the things about that, if the noise disrupt your rest, you cannot get your normal rest. That will be a big problem. So what are some of the things that can disrupt our rest or cause us to be anxious? Things like loud music. People who live near like the airport and planes coming in and out. Thank heaven, maybe we don't have flights maybe coming in rare cases after midnight, or that is not a whole lot that we have happening. So people are able to rest in those areas. While I was back home in Jamaica, for example, I was living close to what we call the belt line, the conveyor belt in which they put the bauxite on. And that runs 24/7. So it takes you a while to get used to that constant chuckle, 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 chuckle right through the night. In the day with the other environmental noise, you don't hear it that much. But in the night, when things quiet down, it takes some bit of accommodation to get used to that kind of noise. So those are what we refer to as pollution in the environment. So the source, we say transportation, building, loudspeakers, all of those things. And then we will be looking at the effects of those pollution. Okay, so the last thing I want you to do, and I want you to think about this for our next class, I want you to think of ways in which you as an individual, you as a student, you as a householder, ways in which you, I don't want you to think now about government and what government will do. I want you to think of things that you can do that will have a big effect in helping to stop pollution. So that is for me today. That was a quick run through in which I want you to awareness session, so to speak, of what pollution is. So I would love you to get to it, go through the, I will be posting some notes on it. I will also be posting this PowerPoint that you can go through it by yourself. But when we come back, you must be talking about pollution and what we can do to stop that. So in this unit, we'll be looking at air pollution. So next class, we'll start with, pollution in general. We'll look at air pollution. We'll start with the consequence. And the first consequence we're going to look at is what we call ozone depletion. So Google that, look it up. Let's see what's happening. And what do I say? Catch you again next class. God bless.